So we already know there's probably a 99% chance the Bengals are not going to trade for a tight end coming out of our bye week before the trade deadline. That's just not going to happen. Well, Zach Taylor, our head coach, did go ahead and comment on the tight end situation going into our bye week. Now, of course, keep in mind that he's speaking on the first 6 weeks of the season. And obviously, it has been very much of a mess. We've had 106 yards in 6 games from the tight end group. That includes Irv Smith, Mitchell Wilcox, Drew Sample, and Tanner Hudson. Tanner Hudson obviously filled in when Irv Smith got hurt. So that's 4 different players, which averages out to around 27, 28 yards apiece from our tight ends going into the first 6 weeks of the season. As the article lists here, the Cincinnati Bengals have entered the bye week with a 3-3 record after beating the Cardinals and Seahawks in back-to-back games. The offense is still looking to find its groove, but a major issue has been the lack of production from the tight end group. And you go back to last year, right? Obviously, yes, Hayden Hurst was amazing for us. Was he game-changing in the aspect that, you know, he put up insane, crazy numbers? No, he didn't. And I know a lot of people are trying to make that point of, well, you know, like Hayden Hurst wasn't that, you know, crazy productive for us, so it's not that big of a deal. But at the same time, Hayden Hurst was very clutch in certain situations that we needed him to be clutch in. So, while no, he wasn't going to go out there and put up 600 yards, he also dealt with injuries. But 600 yards a game, he'll probably put up 50 yards a game, and those 50 yards are the clutchest 50 yards, and maybe a touchdown or 2, right? So, it was like situational football. And it's not always about, you know, like, I know I just listed 106 yards from the tight end group, you know, has tail, just 6 catches, 106 yards from the tight end group, you know, the whole entire season, but it's also the efficiency of those catches. They're not in any way helping us out. It's literally just, okay, it's 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 10. Here's a 4-yard catch by our tight end group. You know what I'm saying? So it's not working out too well. Irv Smith has tailed just 6 catches and for 32 yards on the season. Still yet to find his touchdown. Now, he did have a huge play for us, which actually was the most effective play for us, which was he caused the PI call that got us down to the 1-yard line and let Jamar Chase get another touchdown. So, that was actually a huge play for us, surprisingly enough. Drew Sample has pulled in 3 catches for 10 yards. And here's the kicker. Tanner Hudson has led the receiving room, the tight end room, with 48 yards on 4 catches. This is the problem. Our practice squad tight end, who was only in there because, you know, obviously Irv Smith was out, led the team in receiving so far this, you know, season. And if that's the case, I'm on a point and I'm kind of feeling, why not just put Tanner Hudson in there every single play? Well, not every single play, but every single game. Like, I know Irv Smith is back, but I'm at a point where I think Tanner Hudson gives us a higher upside than Irv Smith does at this point. And again, I'm not completely writing Irv Smith off of the season, but I'm kind of trying to be logical here based on who we have and who's producing, right? And that's kind of what we have to do. Irv Smith, while yes, we thought he'd be great, injuries has derailed this season and definitely problems with, you know, him really getting open and making plays. If that's the case, then put Tanner Hudson in. Tanner Hudson has shown that, you know, he's more productive in certain situations. Both of them really can't block, so it's not like it's a blocking scenario, but I digress. So Mitchell Wilcox has tailed in 3 receptions for 17 yards, and yeah, that is absolutely horrendous. Here's what Zach Taylor said about the situation. Sometimes it's the ball where the coverage... Sometimes it's the ball where the coverage dictates. We've had some opportunities elsewhere to target. Those times will come. They always have to stay ready. They always have to get ready for the moment to come. It's always at critical junctures. A big 3rd down, a situation. I'm pleased with the approach these guys have taken. They've always been ready. I will say to that response, right, because I do agree, yes, it is situational football. Not every single play is going to opt for the tight end to go out there and catch a crazy pass or make a crazy pass, or make a crazy play. But usually, if your tight end group is good enough, and if you have confidence in your tight end group, you can kind of scheme them part of the play. So while, yes, you might say, well, going into this play, this is a screen pass, right? Tight ends aren't going to be utilized. Okay, I agree with that. This is a run play. We're not going to use the tight ends. I agree with that. But when you're calling a simple shotgun play, which is really all we do pretty much, the tight end is a part of every single play in that aspect. Now, yes, the coverage does dictate it, but we have seen from going through every single game footage on this channel, we have seen plays where our tight ends are open, or our tight ends maybe, you know, are kind of covered, but looks like they're not getting open, right? There are times where the tight ends can be utilized, but I feel like it's not, how I look at it is Joe and maybe Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan here is more or less like they're not going to be worth it to go to that player. It's going to be more worth it to go to Jamar Chase or T. Higgins. And I don't know if it's always the coverage. I think it's more or less just they know what they have in the group and they're not pushing it, you know. They're not trying to get the ball to these guys because they're not really that crazy great skill makers. And again, Tanner Hudson's had such a small sample size. I don't want to trash him at all. But the other guys, yeah, it's really come down to that. A few weeks ago, Hudson came in and contributed while Smith was injured. Taylor liked what he saw from Hudson in limited reps. Tanner did a great job when his number was called in those 2 games, Taylor said. He stepped up and filled the role. We always look we always look at ways to use our talent we have on our team. You go into the bye week and have a chance to look at the roster as a whole. And yeah, obviously, that's kind of the mentality of why we're not going to go out there and trade for somebody else. That's the mentality of why we're not going to go out there and sign another tight end, because we have a mentality with the Cincinnati Bengals that we want to kind of keep it within, right? We want to build within. We want to use the players we have on our roster instead of outsourcing to other players. And I understand that mentality because at the end of the day, you know, you create the best roster possible and you're confident that you're not just going to abandon ship just because things aren't working out, right? You feel like, hey, listen, we put this roster together because we're confident that they can be successful. But sometimes you might need a little bit of a spark, right? You need a little bit of a splash play to, you know, kind of revamp this offense or get this offense going. And I don't think the tight end group is really working out for us. And it's a mix of, again, yes, as Taylor said, it could be coverage. It could be just the coverage isn't, you know, is covering them too well. But then there's plays we see them wide open. And I know at the end of the day, it's like, well, yeah, we're looking at it from an aerial shot, and you got to look at the fact that when you're on the field, what the quarterback vision is like this. So, yeah, he's not going to always see the tight end wide open. But I feel like the play calls, how they're oriented, is less about coverage and more about the fact of, don't even worry about the tight ends. Like, they're not going to make plays. Just worry about, you know, T or Chase or Boyd or, you know, everybody else pretty much. And if that's the case, and that's, you know, kind of where the problem lies, right? Is that we don't feel confident in this tight end group to be able to make plays. And when plays break down, you know, really, in all honesty, you know, Joe cannot go to these tight ends as a safety valve. And that's really what a tight end's for. Outside of being, you know, a blocker, they're pretty much a bigger receiver. That's really the concept of why you have a tight end. So Hayden Hurst has been very, you know, great at that for us, of being that vertical threat tight end who's a receiver but can also go down the field and block. So I don't know. Again, like I said, I understand the perspective of like, well, not every single play. But when you look at the fact that in 6 weeks, you know, how many receptions is this? 3, that's 6, that's 10. 10 receptions, 16 receptions from 4 players in 6 weeks is really disappointing. It really is. But again, I digress. They're not going to fix it. They're not going to change it. We're just going to have to see where they go on from here. But tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. I'll see you guys next one. Peace out.